Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka Julian33. I am back here today with another episode of the Legit Shoot podcast. Here with your Monday Night Raw review and results for January 10th, 2022. I hope you guys are staying safe and staying safe and healthy. I know I'm posting this a little bit late. I wasn't able to live stream Monday Night Raw like I usually do, right? Wasn't able to do a review after the show, but I thought that this show was newsworthy enough that I should at least post a podcast a little bit later on. I'm finally back at work. Things have been kind of crazy with COVID and everything, so my schedule has been a little bit hectic. So I'm getting around to recording this a little bit later. If I'm going to be honest with you guys know I am all about brutal honesty here on this podcast. If Raw didn't really have anything newsworthy to talk about, I probably would have skipped the review. I'm trying to be more consistent with the reviews this year, but like I said, if I feel like there's absolutely nothing really newsworthy to talk about coming out of Monday Night Raw and the show's absolutely garbage, I'm just not going to, really do a review because it just takes time to do an hour and a half, 2 hour podcast, especially when I'm getting a little more busy these days. So I want WWE to be good. I want to sit here and, actually talk about wrestling and, not be ranting, moaning, bitching, and all that other stuff. I don't want to be trying to lose my voice here, ranting about how bad the women's division or the tag division is. I want to be excited. If you watch the AEW reviews, you're not getting mainly rants. If you're getting a rant on an AEW review, it's because of something coming from WWE that makes it onto that AEW review, right? So I don't want to be sitting here ranting, even though that's what you guys, enjoy from this podcast. But I did find that, I'm not going to see you say Raw was a good show last night because it wasn't. It was an okay show at best. And that's, might be stretching it because let's be serious here. They were in Philadelphia last night. Philadelphia, for anybody that, has watched WWE for any period of time, you guys know that Philly's one of the hottest crowds that WWE usually has all year. It's the city of brotherly love, and they're usually one of the most honest crowds. We all remember in the past that Royal Rumbles, like 2014 and 2015, how that Philly crowd kind of took over that show. Because you're unhappy with Daniel Bryan not winning the Rumble either one of those years. And then WWE, going with Batista. And then, of course, Roman Reigns in 2015. Even they brought out The Rock in 2015. And that wasn't enough. The Rock was getting booed because they all knew it was just about Roman Reigns. They didn't even care that The Rock was there. So, Philly's been one of the more honest crowds. And last night, over in the Wells Fargo Arena, that crowd was kind of dead. It felt very, very dead, and that's disappointing. But the thing about it is, the crowd was dead because there was not a lot on the show to really care about, right? The Brock Lesnar Bobby Lashley segment was probably the best thing on the show, and after that, they just let the crowd die because they really didn't do much of substance. You had some good matches here and there, and they teased some things as we're slowly entering into the Rumble. But, right now, it's just, Raw is just the same garbage that you usually get. And it's disappointing. And, WWE should be trying to put their best foot forward because the Rumble is 3 weeks away, and it doesn't really feel like that. The Rumble doesn't feel special right now. I know WWE's missing some people, right? Sasha Banks is injured. Drew McIntyre is injured. And I do have some news on that as we get into the podcast. But, the Rumble's a couple weeks away and doesn't really feel like it at the moment. It doesn't, And like I said, before we get into the official Raw results, right, I have a couple of news stories that I want to talk about pretty quickly, right? It seems like now almost every single time I do a review, there's a little bit of a news story that goes along with it. But first off, I have a little bit of news on Big E and Seth Rollins, right? Of course, probably the biggest thing that happened in WWE the last couple of weeks was, of course, Brock Lesnar becoming WWE champion at day one. There was a lot of conversation about what was WWE's plan without Brock Lesnar. And I did report last week that I did report last week that WWE's plan actually was for, regardless of, if Lesnar was there or not, right? The plan was to take the WWE title off of Big E at the Rumble. And I've already ranted on that. I'm not going to do that here again. You guys got to go back to the day one review and all the podcasts we did last week. You guys want to hear my thoughts on that. I'm not going to sit here and, say the same thing, over and over again. I'm unhappy that Big E lost the title. But WWE, it seems like they actually had a plan for Big E. So the plan was, right, it was revealed late last week that, Seth Rollins was actually supposed to win the WWE Championship at day one. We do know, of course, originally the match was supposed to be Seth and Big E one-on-one, and then it slowly got changed to a triple threat, a fatal four-way, and then a fatal five-way. WWE was planning on having Seth Rollins win the fatal four-way against Big E, KO, and Bobby Lashley, and the plan was going to be to have Seth defend the title against Big E at WrestleMania. So the plan was, Big E was most likely going to win back the title at WrestleMania. So delaying their one-on-one match till WrestleMania, which, if I'm being honest, I would have not had any problem with that. Because what was Seth going to do at WrestleMania if he was in the WWE Championship scene, right? And we had been talking, like, who could Big E defend against? There's a good amount of people you can say. You could have AJ Styles, you could have Brock Lesnar, you could have Edge, right? You can have Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, if you want to do that again. There was, a good amount of candidates for Big E to face, and there wasn't really a clear-cut favorite. So, honestly, now that I'm reading this report, I'm just like, okay. So even though Big E was going to lose the title, it seemed like the plan was for a longer story for Big E to win the title back at WrestleMania. And I also did read a story because Big E did an interview today on Bleacher Report, and he talked about how he kind of felt like but Big E said that he kind of blamed himself for how his WWE Championship reign ended. But I don't know if Big E knew that he was originally supposed to lose to Seth Rollins. I don't know. I don't know how superstars really learn how they're gonna win or lose matches. I feel like the Brock Lesnar thing, right? Everything changed once Roman tested positive for COVID, and then Brock Lesnar was put into that WWE Championship match, right? Now there are rumors, people come on to speculate, right? There's people speculating that they could still do Big E and Rollins at Mania if they choose. The easiest way to do this would be to have Seth beat Roman for the Universal Championship and then have Big E win the Rumble. That is, in my opinion, a bad idea because, of course, Roman Reigns, right? Roman Reigns, he's been too dominant not to have him walk in the WrestleMania as champion. And of course, Vince is not going to have that happen. Roman's going to defeat Seth at the Royal Rumble. It's going to be a great match, but clearly, Seth's going to lose, and then we'll see what happens. I want to believe that Lashley's going to beat Lesnar at the Rumble, right? And then they're going to go on to have Lesnar go up against Roman. So it seems like right now the plans never were to merge the titles. All right, the plan was originally supposed to probably be Roman versus either Lesnar or McIntyre, and then Big E versus Seth. That seems like that was supposed to be the original plans before Roman tested positive at day one. But now it's a toss up because what do you do with Lashley, right? It seems Lashley's a babyface now, right? You've turned him babyface, and a lot of people want to see Lashley win at the Royal Rumble. I want to see Lashley win at the Royal Rumble. Maybe you end up doing Lashley and Big E and Seth in a triple threat match, right? I don't know. Maybe you do something like that because I think what's most likely going to happen is somehow, some way, I think it's going to end up with Lesnar versus Reigns for the Universal Championship. I think Lesnar's going to lose that title before Mania. I think that's going to happen. And right now, if I had to take a pick for the Rumble, I want Big E to win the Rumble, but I think Lesnar's going to win the Rumble. I think either, Roman's going to interfere in Lesnar's match, or something's going to happen where Lesnar loses the title to Lashley, and then maybe Lesnar enters the Rumble like at number 30, and then he wins, and then he goes on to challenge Reigns because they're gonna end this Reigns and Lesnar thing at Mania. That seems like the clear direction. That's probably gonna be the night 2 main event. You know, uh, but you could still end up with Biggie and Seth, but you got to consider where Lashley's gonna be, right, and a couple other things. But like I said, look, now that we know that the original plan was kind of supposed to lead to Biggie and Seth at Mania, I wish Roman had to test positive for COVID because I'm actually kind of down with that. Seth being champion again, especially for how great a heel he's been over the last year on WTV, rewarding him with a WWE Championship reign and rewarding him entering in the Mania as WWE Champion. That would have been fine. I don't think anybody would have complained about that. Seth's been one of the best heels in the company. Him and Roman have probably been the top 2 heels on the entire main roster over the last year. So rewarding Seth in that regard, I don't think anybody would have complained. But we'll just have to wait and see. I don't think Seth's defeating Roman at the Rumble. I want to believe Lashley will beat Lesnar. I want to believe. I'm not predicting that, but I want to believe that will happen. And then either Biggie or Lesnar, one of those two will probably end up winning the Rumble. But we'll just have to wait and see and be patient on that. But yeah, so that was actually the original plan for day 1 and WrestleMania. Seth versus Biggie for the WWE Championship. That was the plan. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens from here. The other bit of news I wanted to talk about before talking about Raw is what's going on with Drew McIntyre. We know that Drew McIntyre, they wrote him off TV at day 1, right? And it's been reported that McIntyre has been seen in a neck brace, right? We know that McIntyre, he's been dealing with a neck injury, and it may result in surgery. So, reporting to H. Jenkins from PWI Insider, McIntyre has been seen several times in Pittsburgh recently, and he has been sporting a neck brace. Remember, McIntyre has been wrestling for most of last year. He was dealing with his neck injury, and he was still wrestling. So the fact that he was able to still compete at the high level that he does with that neck injury just shows how much of a beast he is. But they said McIntyre was seen at UPMC Presbyterian Hospital, right? And it's a facility where WWE physician Dr. Joseph Maroon is affiliated with. I believe he's the guy that did a lot of the Undertaker surgeries when Undertaker was still an active wrestler, right? And we know how well documented Undertaker's back problems were. So it makes sense that McIntyre would be going in to see him. It's noted by PW Insider that McIntyre's injury will likely require surgery, but although no specifics were reported regarding the severity of the injury, right? And we don't know how long surgery would keep him out. So this is big because remember, McIntyre was originally supposed to go on to face Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. Some people even had the match happening at WrestleMania. That's probably the biggest feud you can do with the current SmackDown roster because, Roman's already beat mainly everybody. And, of course, McIntyre is probably the top male babyface in the entire company, if we're being honest with ourselves. We know McIntyre was supposed to face Roman at the Rumble. That was the plans. But everything changed once McIntyre's injury happened. And now, a lot of people were like, they were hoping to have McIntyre back for the Rumble, right? Because having McIntyre in the Rumble, that would be a big thing, and there's a lot of people hoping that this would be the year McIntyre could get that big WrestleMania victory, the one he got taken away from him because of COVID a couple years ago in the Performance Center. And, and the fact that it says McIntyre's injury will likely require surgery, that's very telling. Because if he gets surgery right now, he's probably not going to be back in time for WrestleMania. It's probably going to be something that will keep him out. I'm not a doctor, but I'm willing to bet with a neck injury, that's probably something that's going to keep him out, a good chunk of the year. Like, probably we wouldn't see McIntyre till maybe SummerSlam, if we're being honest here, right? So we don't know. WWE's plan is they wanted to give McIntyre time off so that he could rest and he could heal, and hopefully, it wouldn't require him surgery because they want him there for WrestleMania. I don't know if McIntyre would be able to compete with the injury until WrestleMania. Maybe if McIntyre's he sits in the neck brace, he lets himself rest for a little bit, and then afterwards, right? If he feels that maybe he can make a little bit of a WrestleMania run, right? Even if he's not able to face Roman Reigns, right? Maybe they just do something with him and Baron Corbin or something else just to have him on the card, and then afterwards, you have him get surgery. That could work. I don't know. I would love that McIntyre Mania. It's going to be a huge blow without him because he's one of the top baby faces in the company. But his health comes, first, right? You want him to be able to come back 100% and be able to continue his career. And I feel like McIntyre will eventually be a world champion again. He will eventually win the Universal or WWE Championship, but it's all going to depend on what's best for his health. If he really feels like he can't wrestle right now, then he should, of course, have the surgery and then come back when he's ready. And it would be a huge blow for WWE, right? Because you don't have Asuka right now. You don't have Bayley. Sasha's out till the end of February, early March. So you're starting to lose some top tier talent left and right, and you're going into your most important part of the year from a television perspective, and then you don't have McIntyre. But like I said, I'll keep you guys updated on this. Right now, the big news is that he's likely to have surgery. That's not 100% certain, right? It's just likely. If McIntyre does have surgery or it's announced that he will have surgery, I will report it here on the podcast and let you guys know. But just want to give you guys that update about McIntyre. It's not really looking that good for McIntyre and his status going into the Rumble and WrestleMania season. But let's hope for the best when it comes to Drew. The last thing I want to talk about is Shinsuke Nakamura. One thing, if you guys listen to this podcast, I kind of rant on how much I love Shinsuke Nakamura and how it's been kind of disappointing that he's really done nothing with the IC Championship, right? Well, it's been revealed by Rick Boogs that Nakamura's been dealing with a hand injury, and it's what's been keeping him out of the ring, right? And he's been basically dealing with it for the last couple of weeks. So I didn't know that. The last match Nakamura had on for WWE was at a house show December 18th, right? And his last match on TV was December 10th when it was him and Rick Boogs against Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. And his last singles match was back at Survivor Series when he went up against Damian Priest. So and the thing about it is, Nakamura, this is crazy. Nakamura has not defended the championship, the IC title, since September 24th, which is nearly 4 months ago. So, you guys see why I complain about it. So it is kind of good that we know that Nakamura has been injured, right? At least we got an explanation, that he's been dealing with this injury the last 2 months. But I don't know why WWE doesn't, I hate saying this, but I don't know why WWE hasn't just stripped Nakamura of the title and then just do an IC title tournament. You have a really good mid card on SmackDown, or you have you guys like Ricochet and Sheamus and Baron Corbin, right? You have guys in that division that can wrestle. Why not take that title off Nakamura for now? Let him get healthy, right? And if Nakamura is able to recover by WrestleMania time, right, you can have Nakamura face whoever wins an IC title tournament, or at least crown an interim IC title champion, if anything. The Intercontinental Championship is one of the most prestigious titles in all professional wrestling. And, it's like I said, it is good. At least we have an explanation for why, Nakamura hasn't been defending the title because he's been injured. But it's been 2 months now. I love Nakamura, but the IC title should take precedence, especially with SmackDown already missing Sasha Banks and Drew McIntyre. So why not just take the title off Shinsuke for now, or do a tournament with all those mid-card people like Sami Zayn and not Apollo, he's on Raw, but Sami Zayn, Rick Boogs, Sheamus, Ricochet, a couple other names, right? Do an IC title tournament, and then crown an interim champion. It would, make SmackDown a little more exciting, right? going the WrestleMania season, who's going to win this IC title tournament and walk in the WrestleMania IC champion. And then you have Nakamura come back. And then if you want, you can build a feud and have Nakamura win the title back, right? I would love to see maybe Sheamus or Sami Zayn, right? I would love to see one of those two win the IC title. And then, you can do a program with Nakamura going to WrestleMania. That's what I would do. I don't know why they're keeping the title off Nakamura, especially when they've known he's been injured for the last 2 months. SmackDown, you need something exciting right now, and you can easily put Nakamura back with the IC title once he comes back, once he's healthy. But, I don't know why they haven't, at least done a term at the current interim champion, because you're hurting the prestige of that title. You're hurting your SmackDown in general, and SmackDown needs excitement right now, especially with all the injuries and that decimated roster. So, so I want to give you guys that quick update on the day one with Seth and Big E, McIntyre, and Nakamura. A good amount of news, to talk about. I could have done an extra video on that alone, but, I was like, why not talk about it on the Raw review, get it all out of the way right then and there. Plus, I know some of you guys in the comment section would have been asking me about it, my thoughts about it anyway. So it's good that, we talked about it now. But let's get into Monday Night Raw. So Raw, January 10th, Monday Night Raw. Like I said, Philadelphia. One of the weakest crowds probably we've ever had in Philadelphia history. But still, the show opened up with a face-to-face between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. And it's pretty clear now that Lashley's a babyface. I know there was a lot of people that went to the WWE Boston house show, which is right. I live here in the Boston area. There was a lot of people that went to the WWE house show a couple days ago. And people were telling me how over Bobby Lashley is. Lashley's very, very over now with the crowd, right? And, WWE, it seems like they quietly turned Lashley into a babyface. We kind of saw this happening, but, yeah. So Lashley is a babyface, and, they kind of confirmed this last night. And I'm going to play the clip for you guys. This was, like I said, the best part of this show, and is because of Brock Lesnar. Like I said, this has been the most enjoyable that Brock has ever been, right? Brock has never been this entertaining, but the fact that they're letting Lesnar be more like himself, right? He's not just coming out there with his Suplex City t-shirts and his jeans, right? The ponytail, the beard, the making jokes on the mic. It's not just Paul Heyman sitting there and Lesnar looking intimidating for 10 minutes during a promo. They're actually letting Lesnar do his own thing, and it's making, this new version of Lesnar probably the most enjoyable Lesnar that we've ever seen. And the thing is, we're seeing Lesnar more on television. I thought or at least so far, right? Lesnar has been on television, almost every week. He's been on SmackDown. He was at day one. He was on Monday Night Raw last week. He was on SmackDown again this past week. Now he was on Raw last night. So the fact is, Lesnar's actually being on TV more consistently than he has been in years. I don't know if this will continue, but, hey, one of the things I didn't like was having Brock Lesnar as a part-time champion. But if Lesnar's going to be on TV, at least he doesn't have to be there every single week. But if Lesnar's going to be on TV the majority of the time, I'll take it. Hell yeah. That's all I ask for. I just don't want a part-time champion, especially going into WrestleMania season. Like, you need all the excitement you can get. And with Brock Lesnar operating at this level as a character, hell yeah, give it to me. So, Lesnar, he's been one of the most entertaining, and not the most entertaining thing in WWE. And this is what made this segment so great. So before the segment, I'm going to play the clip here, right? Lesnar is in the ring, and Lashley was confronted by the Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, right? And they thought that the Hurt Business would game back together, right? And they kind of teased the Hurt Business game back together a couple months ago when Lashley was still a heel. But, they kind of made it clear again tonight that the Hurt Business isn't getting back together. And lastly, now being a babyface. So and that would play a role in this segment. But anyway, I'm gonna play the clip here with Lashley and Lesnar.
It is an honor to finally be able to stand in a ring with you. And it's an honor to be able to share this spotlight with you. And as one super athlete to another super athlete, it's an honor to be able to look you right in the eye. And with all due respect, tell you that for 20 years, you have been ducking and running from me.
And the thing was good is we all know Lashley's not the best on the mic, right? That's why he has MVP. You could say the same thing about Lesnar. Lesnar's never been the best on the mic. He often stumbles his words. He's, because he's not a big talker. And also, sometimes, if you're listening to Lesnar, he kind of messes up with some of his grammar. But hey, none of us are perfect, but there's so many similarities between these two. Being super athletes, being dominant, not being the best, the most vocal people, right? There's so many similarities between these two heavyweights.
With all due respect, it's an honor for me to be in the ring with me. For the last 20 years, I've been winning championships in this ring and in other rings.
I liked how Lesnar brought up, UFC there, right? Talking about, hey, you never crossed my path. For the last 20 years, I've been one of the most dominant forces in all of pro sports, not just WWE, but all across the globe, right? And the fact that we've never crossed paths, that's not on you. That's on, that's not on me. That's on you. I've been the champion and you never came looking for me. Right, so I just love Lesnar's cockiness here, even though he is the baby face. They're both baby faces here, but I just love how Lesnar's like, hey, I don't even really know who you are. If you wanted a piece of me, you would have came and found me all these years.
So that doesn't fall on me, Bobby Lashley. That falls on you. I don't have a clue who you are until I met you at day one. So now it's your fault that you didn't climb the ladder of success and enter into the same arenas I did. I must apologize, Bobby, because if we had met, I would have already beaten you, and we wouldn't be here right now. With all due respect.
Like I said, man, like Lesnar here, I love it. I absolutely love it. Lesnar be like, with all due respect, I don't even know who you are because you and me were on different levels. I'm winning titles, and the thing is, Lesnar's ran through a bunch of the main roster, from AJ Styles to Roman Reigns in the past, to Seth Rollins. If he's with Drew McIntyre, he's faced so many people and beaten them all for the most part. Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe. The list goes on and on. So Lesnar's just like, as no matter how great an athlete you are, you never crossed my path, and you're just gonna end up like the rest at the Royal Rumble. With all due respect, I absolutely love that.
At the Royal Rumble, when I beat you for that title, and then you start your tour as a stand-up comedian, me and MVP here, we'll be sitting front row because as a comedian, Brock, you are money. I'm funny and I'm money. Hey, Paulie!
Hey, Paulie! Hey, Paulie! That's hilarious. I love it. He just says, hey, Paulie! But if Lesnar really wanted to be a stand-up comedian, I would absolutely, I would buy tickets to that show in a heartbeat. I don't think Lesnar would ever do that, but that would be hilarious. And this is easily the best part of the promo right here. Here it goes.
Yes, sir.
Knock, knock.
Brock Lesnar does a knock-knock joke in Philadelphia. I thought I saw it all.
Okay, Brock, who's there? Bobby. Bobby who? Exactly.
That's actually hilarious. Bobby, who and then Lashley does like a little fake laugh. He's like, haha, you get serious. That is hilarious. That is something I'm gonna remember for a while. The Bobby who knock knock joke. That is hilarious. I don't know if Lesnar came up with that on the spot, but that was absolutely hilarious. You know, it actually feels real. Like Lesnar legitimately doesn't know who, you know, Bobby Lashley is. Remember when Lesnar faced Keith Lee at the Rumble, right? Remember the Royal Rumble a couple years ago, Keith Lee was like coming out. Lesnar was like, who the fuck is that guy? You know, he was like, what the hell? He's huge. Like, so if Lesnar really didn't know who Bobby Lashley was, I would not be surprised. You know, I doubt that honestly, but still, you know, it's Lesnar, man. The guy lives in the middle of nowhere in Saskatchewan, you know, so who knows? But absolutely, that's hilarious, man. The Bobby Who line, that is hilarious.
Bobby who? Who's there? Bobby. Bobby who? Exactly.
Careful, Brock.
Let me tell you something, Bobby Lashley. It's impossible to beat Brock Lesnar. And it's even more impossible to
And then
beat
you have a Bobby Who chant. That's hilarious.
Brock Lesnar when you're a Brock Lesnar wannabe.
So then Lesnar leaves, right? Like, so, and then, like, no, Lesnar throws the mic down, kind of like his own version of like a pipe bomb. He's like, so calling Lashley a Lesnar wannabe, right? It's, you know, you can make an argument about the you know, how valid that statement is. It is what it is, but still, that's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. Lesnar and Lashley, it was an enjoyable segment, right? Just because of how great Lesnar was, you know, with his comedy here. This, like, give me more of this Lesnar. But then afterwards, Lashley, as Lesnar left the ring, Lashley was attacked by the Hurt Business, right, or by Cedric and Shelton Benjamin. Lashley took them out, right? So I would not be surprised if, like, next week on Raw, Lesnar's not there, right? I would not be surprised if Lesnar's not there next week, and then Lesnar comes back on the Go Home show 2 weeks from now. I think next week we might see some, like, Lashley faces the Hurt Business in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Even though I think we've already seen that match, but, you know, that's probably one we're gonna get. And, you know, it goes with WWE that, you know, halftime they don't know what they're doing, because this is technically the second time that the Hurt Business is kind of broken up, even though they kind of never got back together officially. But clearly, this is more just to solidify Lashley as a babyface now, right? Cedric and Shelton are heels. They're, you know, jealous that their Lashley refused to take them back into the Hurt Business. I don't know why Shelton and Cedric just, you know, just be a tag team again. I know WWE broke them up during in the Thunderdome last year, but I don't know why WWE you tried to tease a Hurt Business reunion. Why not just, I don't know, just bring them back together? And it's because you need tag teams in that division. You need tag teams in the division right now. So, like, if it was up to me, I would just, you know, bring Cedric and Shelton back as a tag team, and then, you know, put them in that Raw tag team division with the Street Profits, RK Bro, and everybody else. But yeah, like I said, this was a great segment, a great way to open up the show. Sadly, the show couldn't keep up that momentum. Of course, this is WWE we're talking about. And yeah, let's get on with the rest of the show. Like I said, I don't expect to see Lesnar on Raw next week. I think we'll see Lesnar in 2 weeks on the Go Home show before the Rumble. So we had RK Bro versus the Alpha Academy for the Raw tag team titles. If you guys remember last week, RK Bro lost a non-title match to the Alpha Academy, which set this match up. We talked about that, of course, because WWE's way of making contenders by having champions lose is absolutely ridiculous, But what was crazy, what was crazier, was what happened tonight. So, what happened here? So basically, this was just a more better version of the match they had last week. If I'm being serious, they had a decent match last week, and this was a little bit better. The crowd was still kind of hot from the opening segment, and of course, RK Bro is one of the most over things on Monday Night Raw these days. Of course, Randy Orton, he got the hot tag because Riddle had been fighting by himself for most of the match, and then Gable Otis, of course, isolated Riddle from Orton, but then Orton got the hot tag, and he went off. He went off on Gable doing his normal offense, right? But then Orton didn't know when Otis made a blind tag, and then Otis actually hit Orton with a trademark slam for the pin, and it was an absolutely shocking pin. And the Alpha Academy are now your new Raw Tag Team Champions. I don't know. I'm gonna say this right now. I don't think RK Bro is breaking up. I feel like a lot of people, think, oh, right away, this is gonna lead to Orton and Riddle at WrestleMania. Remember, RK Bro is actually ridiculously over. Riddle's one of the very few NXT guys that has been able to be a success on the main roster. There's been so many of those NXT guys that have been released, right, or had just fallen into, just being in catering every week. Riddle's one of the rare guys that has actually been able to find, success on the main roster and is very liked backstage. And RK Bro as a team, they're ridiculously popular. They're up there with the Street Profits and, the New Day and the Usos when we talk about the most popular teams. They sell ridiculous amounts of merch. Their theme song, they just changed their theme song a little bit about a month ago. I don't think RK Bro is breaking up anytime soon. I think maybe SummerSlam, maybe like the 1 year anniversary of when RK Bro, first came together and then, they won the Raw Tag Team titles. I think that would be a better story. But right now, I don't think RK Bro is going to be breaking up, especially when we're entering Rumble and WrestleMania season. I think they're going to try to tell more longer, more of a long-term story here, right? And the thing about it is, maybe it would be more likely that they were breaking up if Riddle took the pin. It was Orton that took the pin here. And when was the last time Randy Orton got pinned? I don't remember. It's been a while since Orton's been pinned clean like that. I think they're just going to tell more of a story of RK Bro winning those tag titles. Because if you think about it, RK Bro was running through everybody. There really wasn't many challengers left. The only real team left for RK Bro, as a fresh team at least, was, I think, the Mysterios, right? I was pitching maybe Rollins and Owens. They've been together, so maybe you can, have them become a tag team, and maybe they challenge RK Bro at WrestleMania for those titles. That's what I was pitching last week, but we'll have to wait and see. I do expect RK Bro to win back the Raw Tag Team titles at some point. I don't know when that will be, but I think that could be at the Rumble. That could be at, whatever their next pay-per-view is in February, which I'm hearing rumors it could be another Saudi Arabia show. We'll just have to, wait and see. But I think RK Bro will be regaining those titles at some point. I think they're just giving, them a break, right? They've held the titles for the last 5 months. They've been good champions. I think this is just a little bit of a breather for RK Bro. And then they'll regain those titles. And, I expect RK Bro to either walk in the WrestleMania as tag champions or to win those titles back at WrestleMania. That's what I'm expecting. So we'll see what happens. I was very surprised here. I'm happy for Gable and Otis because they've actually been a pretty, decent tag team. There's people, if you guys remember, I believe when the Mysterios held the SmackDown Tag Championships last year, there were people that were pitching for Gable and Otis to be the ones to take those titles off them. And, Gable posted like a really cool thing on social media about his friendship with Otis, back when they were training for the Olympics like 10 years ago. So it was cool to see them get a moment like this. Otis definitely deserves this because remember, we thought Otis was dead and buried at some point. Remember when he lost the Money in the Bank briefcase to the Miz around this time last year, right? We thought that things were bad for Otis. They broke up Heavy Machinery, and Heavy Machinery were actually a really popular tag team. But now to see that to see him and Gable find success, as a tag team, I'm happy for them. I wasn't expecting them to win. I'm not angry at it. I think they are deserving to be tag champions. It will be interesting to see if they're going to be transitional champions or if this is a thing that will go on for a little bit. I don't think Gable and Otis will walk in the WrestleMania as tag champs, if I'm being honest. But, you never know. You never know. We'll see what happens. You definitely, you can have them defend against the Mysterios, the Street Profits, and then you can build up to another match with RK Bro. There's different ways you can go about this. But, like I said, I do expect RK Bro to regain those Raw Tag Team Championships at some point. And, yeah. And for however long Gable and Otis hold those titles, I'm at least happy for them because those two are both deserving of holding those titles for any amount of time. Very happy for Gable and Otis here, and probably the most shocking thing of the night. Next up, we had the Dirty Dogs and Apollo Crews versus the Street Profits and Damian Priest in 6-man tag team action. We know that Damian Priest, of course, he's been feuding with the Dirty Dogs over the U.S. Championship over the last month or so, right? So this was a pretty easy match to do. In Apollo Crews, he has made it known that he wants to face Damian Priest. I would have no problem with them doing Apollo and Damian Priest either at the Rumble or in the coming months on Raw. I wouldn't even be mad if Apollo ended up beating Damian Priest for the U.S. Championship. I think eventually Damian Priest should be put in the main event scene. I think he's exceeded expectations as U.S. champion. He's been a solid U.S. champion in my eyes. And he has, almost all of everything needed to be in the main event scene. I don't know if I see him as a world champion, but Priest in the main event scene, I think that we should start building towards that, eventually. But anyway, getting into the 6-man tag match, this was good match. There wasn't anything too wild, but all 6 of these men are good workers. So this was a fast-paced tag match, lots of action, right? Angelo Dawkins, man, I think he's highly underrated. Get a lot of people to look at Montez Ford as the strength of that team because of how great he is with his aerial attack. But Angelo Dawkins, he surprises me on a weekly basis with his new moves and the energy he brings in the ring. But so Dawkins got the hot tag and he went after all 3 men. But at the end here, as the action broke down, Ziggler hit a zigzag and got the win by pinning Dawkins. So that was that. We'll see what happens. Like I say, it looks like they're building up Apollo for the next opportunity against Damian Priest, right? But we'll see what happens. I can at least say this: I'm happy that Raw has an okay mid-card scene. They're it's not perfect, but at least Damian Priest has challengers. At least he's defending that U.S. title on a weekly basis. He's defending it against Damian Jajakovic, right? I forget what his other name is. Who cares? He's defending it against Robert Roode. He's defending it against Dolph Ziggler. He's defending. It looks like Apollo's going to be the next one in line. At least the U.S. title is being utilized on this show. I wish I could say the same about Shinsuke Nakamura. I already talked about that earlier in the podcast, but at least the U.S. title's featured on the show, and Priest has actually been a decent champion in my opinion. Next up, we had Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins came out. I talked about this on the SmackDown review. So on the SmackDown review, it looked like Seth was turning babyface because they did a dark segment. Because usually the SmackDown dark segments are usually Sasha Banks and Charlotte, but that's on the back burner right now because Sasha's injured, right? And we expect Sasha, she'll be back. I don't know Another quick side note, I don't know if you guys saw this. Sasha Banks was featured in a NCAA in the NCAA championship game commercial between Alabama and Georgia. If you guys haven't seen it, it's all over. All Sasha Banks fans were retweeting it. If you want, you can find it on YouTube pretty easily. But Sasha was like a dressed as like a knight from the future, right? And she was like hyping up the game, and it was pretty damn awesome. WWE even posted a little bit on their social media page, so it was pretty damn cool. So if you guys haven't checked that out, man, I want to say thank you to Casey. She sent me a video of it on social media, but it was pretty damn awesome to see Sasha and it in that commercial. And this is another example. Clearly, it was filmed before Sasha's injury, but it does another example that when Sasha retires, right? When she retires, she's gonna still, she's Hollywood made, or now The Mandalorian being featured in a huge promo spot like that for the biggest college football game of the year, one of the biggest sporting events of the year, right? The fact that she was featured in that, she was in a Super Bowl ad for I think Domino's last year. The fact that Sasha's doing these little side projects along with her WWE stuff, it's huge, and it's awesome. I'm happy for Sasha. I'm telling you, man, whenever she does retire from pro wrestling, which probably isn't anytime soon, right? She's just turning 30 later this month. But whenever she does do that, no matter if that's 5 years from now or something like that, she's going to be made for a big career in Hollywood. Doing movies, TV shows, more commercials like this. She has everything to be a huge star in Hollywood for years to come. And, this is just another example of that. But getting back to it, so like I said, back to Seth Rollins. Seth was at, it seemed like WWE was turning Seth babyface because in the dark segment on SmackDown, Seth came out for a match and then he got attacked by the Usos. And then Seth was, kind of pondering to the crowd. He was doing the burn it down stomps and everything. So it seemed like they were kind of teasing Seth turning babyface for this feud with Roman. But then Seth, here tonight, he was back to his more heel ways. So I don't know what WWE's planning. The whole thing here, I don't know. I guess in theory you can kind of do Seth and Roman heel versus heel, just because both these superstars are immensely popular, but it's still gonna be a little bit weird. There kind of needs to be a face, and of course Seth, would kind of fit that bill, but still Seth's character, the way he's been, it would be kind of sudden to turn him babyface. Plus, if you turn Seth babyface just for this match, he goes right back to Raw. And you have Lashley and Big E as your top babyfaces right now. So I don't know what WWE wants to do in terms of that, but we'll just have to wait and see. But Seth was back to being a heel tonight. He basically came out to officially announce that he would be facing Roman at the Rumble, and he said this is kind of poetic justice because he had his one-on-one championship opportunity stolen from him. And he kind of right about that when they kept changing the plans for day one, when it was originally supposed to be him and Big E. Big E did eventually come out, and Big E said that he was, very, very happy to hear about Seth getting a title match at the Rumble, and that he was actually rooting for Seth to beat Roman at the Rumble. And Seth asked why. And Big E said that because he plans to win the Royal Rumble, and he would love to beat Seth at WrestleMania. And now we know that was actually the original plans. Seth was supposed to win at day one, and it was supposed to be Seth and Big E at Mania. And like I said, it can still happen. I feel like it's more likely now that it might end up being like triple threat. I could see it being Lesnar, or not Lesnar. I could see it being Lashley, Big E, and Seth at Mania. And we know WWE does have a good track record when it comes to triple threats. I will give WWE credit on that. WWE's actually pretty good when it comes to triple threat matches. So I would have no problem with them doing Seth, Big E, and Lashley at Mania for the WWE Championship if it comes down to that. But we'll see. Like I said, I think Big E is one of the favorites to win the Rumble. It's gonna depend on what happens with Lashley and Lesnar. It's gonna, that's gonna be a big thing. But yeah, definitely Big E is one of the favorites in my opinion to win the Rumble, and we'll see what happens. But uh, Big E then challenged Rollins to a match. I thought Rollins was gonna, do the heel thing and get his way out of it, and then Big E would attack him. But Seth actually, accepted the match. And we got the match here. This was fantastic. Seth and Big E. This was originally supposed to be the match at day one. I feel like the match, if this match happened at day one, it would have been better because there wouldn't have been commercial breaks. Plus, it probably would have went a little bit longer. But still, this was great. The promo exchange was great. These two, they seem to have a really good chemistry with one another. And even though it came out of nowhere, this was really well. And if this leads to something bigger at WrestleMania, this will help tell that story. Especially with Seth getting the win. You knew that Seth wasn't gonna lose here because he's facing Roman at Mania, and of course at the Rumble. And of course, I don't like seeing Big E lose like this, but I understood why. Like I said, I'm willing now that I know what the original plans at day one were supposed to be. I'm willing to give WWE a chance to kind of redeem Big E here, right? We'll see what happens. Big E like I said, Big E is going to be one of the favorites to win the Rumble, right? He might not be the odds-on favorite, but he'll definitely be up there when we talk about the favorites. And, we'll just have to wait and see how it all shakes up with Seth and Lashley and Lesnar and Roman. Like I said, it's super unpredictable at this stage. There's, many different directions this could all end up leading. But this was a very enjoyable match. And Big E, at the end here, Big E went for the big ending on the middle rope, but Seth was able to evade it. And then Big E evaded a pedigree, and then Rollins was able to eventually get the stomp to get the win clean. 1, 2, 3. So John Morant. But yeah, like I said, this, very, very great stuff here. And like I said, we'll see. Big E, we'll see if he wins the Rumble. I don't expect Seth to beat Roman at the Rumble, but crazier things have happened. I do think, these two will probably end up in some kind of program going into WrestleMania. I do think something will happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. Next up, this was bad. This was bad. So backstage, you had Dana Brooke and Reggie 24/7 championship, right? And they were about to have some famous Philly cheesesteaks, right? I want to have one of those one day. I love steak and cheese. I love cheesesteaks. So hopefully one of those days, if I'm in the Philly area, somebody can tell me where to get those steak and cheeses, man. But hopefully that'll be in the future, God willing. But here we have not AJ. We have Almost then kind of confronted Reggie, right? Because Almost was on his way to the ring, and Reggie ended up in his path because they were running from R-Truth and Akira Tozawa, who were trying to, get the 24/7 championship. The overdone segment, same thing they've been doing for months, years now, really. Who cares about? It's crazy, man. R-Truth's been doing the same gimmick with the 24/7 title now for years. No wonder why he's been with WWE so long. When you're barely having to wrestle and you get paid just to do a goofy 24/7 title segment, it's kind of easy to, extend your career. But you can remember, Truth started in WWE in 1999. This is his 4th decade with WWE, which is insane to think about. So yeah, but anyway, so Reggie, running from Truth and Tozawa, he ended up in Amos' path, and then Amos basically said that he was going to destroy Reggie in a match next week, right? So this is scary because this is typical WWE fashion with big men. We have gone back to the local competitor or the jobber thing. We've seen this how many times with people in the past? Ryback, Great Khali, Braun Strowman, the list goes on and on and on. Nia Jax when she was there. This is typical WWE with its big men and their big women. They now, you had Almas run through AJ Styles last week, right? AJ did his best to sell for Almas, but the match was bad because Almas sucks in the ring. And it looks like that feud's over. They're just done. AJ's not, and like I said, AJ will be fine. It's whatever. But that's over. AJ's moved on now with this feud with the Waller guy from NXT. We'll talk about that in just a sec. But we come back here and basically Almas is facing a local competitor. So they went to some Walmart or some gas station or something, and they get some random wrestler, right? They say, hey, we'll pay you $100, $200. This is true. This is what WWE does with their local wrestlers. They pay a guy a couple $100, be like, hey, you want to be on Monday Night Raw? You want to have one of the biggest moments of your life, right? And, this local competitor gets destroyed by Almas in like 2 minutes. And it doesn't do anything. That formula is so done out in WWE. They've done it, rinse and repeat. They've done it with every single big man. And most of those big men are not even there anymore. They're gone. Nia Jax is gone. Great Khali retired years ago. Braun Strowman, he's gone. I saw a funny thing about Braun Strowman talking about his relationship with Raquel Gonzalez. Like, yeah, we have sex, which is, hilarious, But yeah, we've seen this formula so many times, and you're so sick of it. I'd rather see something like what they do with Wardlow on AEW. Wardlow is actually over with the crowd, and he destroys opponents for the most part. He does, he has squash matches for the most part, but the way they do it with him, that's the formula WWE should be doing. And another thing is, Almas sucks in the ring. Almas sucks in the ring. He's overrated as hell. So you have Almas, come in and you destroy a local competitor, and now, you're going back to the same formula. Like, what's it gonna do at the end of the day? It's not gonna do anything for anybody. It's not gonna do anything for anybody. Almas sucks. He sucks. No matter how many local competitors you have him destroy, he sucks. It's just that simple. He's overrated as hell in the ring. And if WWE thinks like having him now start squashing opponents is going to do something, it's not. It's not going to do anything for anybody. And I'm scared that, because remember, we did hear reports a couple months ago that WWE was considering doing Almas, and I still can't believe it. They were considering doing Almas and Big E for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania by having Almas win the Rumble. That WWE's going to have Almas come in there early in the Rumble, right? I think Almas has already declared himself for the Rumble. They're going to have Almas come in there, and they're going to have Almas just, eliminate a bunch of people. I would go on to say Almas will probably eliminate at least, upwards of 10 guys. He's going to eliminate, a good amount of the people in the Rumble, a lot of the jobbers, right? And, the scary thing is, who knows how deep Almas goes into the Rumble? It's something we have to consider. And I pray that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. But we know WWE, we know Vince's addiction and his horniness when it comes to big man. Vince doesn't see that Almas is not it. And I pray, I really do pray that we don't get Almas in winning the Rumble. He doesn't deserve it. He sucks in the ring. I'm all for seeing, my black brothers make it up the chain, right? Seeing guys like Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, Bobby Lashley, Big E, seeing those people kind of lead WWE in the last couple of years, being champions, right? WWE doesn't have a huge diversity problem. At times they may feel like that, but, WWE doesn't really have a major diversity problem, But, Almas I just don't want to see him. He's not good in the ring. If Almas was good in the ring, I would be sitting here talking about him all the time. The same way I talk about Bobby Lashley. The same way I talk about Big E. The same way I talk about how Bianca Belair can be better. The same way I sing Sasha Banks' praises on every single podcast. But he is not good in the ring. And they're just doing the same old tired-ass formula that they've done with all of the big men throughout the years. And it's going to end up failing. It's going to end up being a ginormous failure. And these people that want to make you believe that Amos is it on social media, they're idiots. This is why you guys listen to me and you don't listen to them. Because, the Amos is not it in the ring. He's not. And this experiment needs to end. I'm scared of where it's going to go. If it ends up with Amos winning the Rumble, you will probably get your rant of the year at the Rumble. Hopefully, WWE is smart enough and that doesn't happen. But still, it's something we at least have to talk about, because knowing WWE, it could be on the table. It could be on the table here. And I hope I'm wrong about it, but we don't know. Well, we have to wait and see. But yeah, so I expect Amos to continue bearing local competition on Raw for probably the months to come. Hopefully he doesn't win at the Rumble, but like I said, I'll keep bringing it up because WWE is high on this guy for some reason. And I am nervous to see where this goes. Speaking of teams, right? So Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley broke up as a tag team last night. Looks like Nikki ASH is now a heel, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever because he plays a superhero gimmick. So you're having Nikki ASH turn heel and you're having her do that superhero gimmick? Seriously? What sense does that make? So I'll play the promo for you guys.
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it for about a week. So now I'm going to show you how I use Grammarly to edit. Okay, so here's...
Skip that.
Nikki, Rhea, this tag team has been one of the most unexpected stories of 2021.
Skip a little bit of it.
Officially challenged Queen Zelina and Carmella to a rematch for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships.
Who cares? You lose. Why should they get another opportunity? First off, they lost clean to them twice. Is it because there's no other teams in that women's tag team division? I don't know. But I don't know what the hell. I don't know what Nikki ASH was saying here. They want a rematch when they just lost clean 1-2-3 to this team, to Zelina and Carmella last week. What sense does that make?
Nikki, that's not what we talk about. No, that's not what we talk about. I thought we were coming out here to talk about the Royal Rumble.
Well, it doesn't seem like you're on the same page. There has been some...
And yes, another thing that was dumb here is you had Nikki and Rhea Ripley talk about how they were going to talk about the Royal Rumble. They've already been announced to be in the Royal Rumble. We've seen the video package. They played on SmackDown. They played on Raw. They're in the promotional. Like, they've already been announced to both be in the Royal Rumble. So, I don't know what the hell, Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH, like, they kind of look dumb here. We already knew they were going to be in the Rumble. So why do you have to make an official announcement? It's already been announced by WWE themselves. So, dumb. Dumb.
Speculation about the future of your tag team. Do you feel like this partnership has run its course?
Sarah, we've had our ups and downs, but...
Well, what Rhea's trying to say is, of course it hasn't.
Actually, Nikki, if you would have let me finish... You know what, let's not talk about this out here, all right?
You're thinking of breaking us up?
Nikki, we've had a great run, but I think it's just time for us to go our separate ways.
But teaming together brought out the best in both of us.
Yeah, you're probably right, but I'm ready to go and get...
Is this about the titles? Don't worry about the tag team titles. We'll get them back, and then when we do, we'll show everyone why we're so great together.
It's not about the titles, Nikki.
Did it ever occur to you that I was the one doing you the favor by staying in this partnership? I stayed by your side because that's what friends do. They stay together through thick and thin, even when one is better in the ring than the other.
Nikki, I never said that I was better in the ring than you either.
I was talking about me. But it's
the ring than you either.
I was through thick and thin, even when one is better in the ring than the other.
Nikki, I never said that I was better in the ring than you either.
I was talking about me.
That's a debate. I don't know. The Rhea Ripley in NXT would absolutely destroy Nikki. But, I don't know, main roster Rhea Ripley? Is he truly a better wrestler than Nikki ASH? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. You guys can debate that. But, still. Back to it.
But it's really nice to know where your head's at.
You know what? I don't like where this is heading, so I'm out.
So you're just going to walk out? You're just going to walk out on me then? Okay, go. Walk out.
No, but you're making me feel really uncomfortable right now. So for now, Nikki, let's say goodbye.
My teammate anymore? Fine. But I can't shake your hand until you look me in the eye and tell me that you still believe in me.
Nikki, I have always believed in you, and I always will. But the thing that I loved is that you believe that you are almost a superhero. So whether it's with me or without me, I really hope that you don't stop believing in yourself, and I really hope that we can be friends.
This is so cringe. The Rhea Ripley in NXT, even as a babyface, was never like this. Never like this. This is cringe. Cringe. Like, where's the badass Rhea Ripley? You have Rhea Ripley out here? Yes, I always believed in you. I always will. I just hope that we will always be friends. What the This is Rhea Ripley. Really? Where's the Rhea Ripley that stood up to Becky Lynch on NXT TV a couple years ago when she was NXT champion? Where's that Rhea Ripley? I don't see her anymore. What the hell is this petty crap? You can say the same thing about Nikki ASH. Crazy Nikki when she was back there with I forget what that group was called. Sanity. Where these two are so far from the badass versions of their character. It's insane. It's sad. Like, what the hell is this? Hope we can still be friends? What the hell? Seriously? That's what we're doing here?
Do you mean it? Can we still be friends?
What the hell is this? Middle school? Oh, I don't want you to be your partner in the science fair coming up, right? But think about I just want to do the project alone. But the thing about it is, we can still be buddies, right? That doesn't hurt our friendship. Like, this is middle school shit. What is this? What am I watching? Am I watching Arthur or am I watching WWE? Am I supposed to be watching freaking PBS Kids or am I supposed to be watching professional wrestling? Am I supposed to be learning about friendships on Sesame Street? Or am I supposed to be watching professional wrestling? I don't know. AEW doesn't do this crap. What the hell is this? Yeah, and what are they doing? So they hug. Rhea kisses Nikki ASH on the head. Like, what the hell is this? This is like what?
Oh, no, Nikki, no. Yes. Nikki ASH just went after Rhea Ripley. Are you kidding me?
It's a shame. This is a real
I like
shame.
this. Listen, in this business, you either make friends or you make money.
Look, I get the weeks of all the emotional frustration, but this is not the right move, Nikki.
It might be exactly what Nikki needs to get her career back on track.
Once before Royal Rumble,
where it's every woman for herself.
Almost superheroes don't need any friends.
Almost superheroes don't need any friends. So I guess Nikki's now going to be that delusional heel that thinks that, you know, kind of like similar to Bayley, right? Remember when Bayley first turned heel a couple years ago when Sasha came back, and, you know, Bayley for a while was still kind of acting like a babyface. Bayley still believed what she was doing was right. She was still a role model until she fully turned heel when she cut her hair and everything like that, changed her music, destroyed the Bayley buddies and everything. You know, so I think this is the kind of heel Nikki ASH is going to be playing, where she believes that, you know, what she's doing is you know, I guess she's a role model. Like, superheroes don't really need friends, you know, until she fully turns heel. But still, how the hell are you gonna have Nikki be heel and come up with that stupid butterfly outfit with the damn cape and the butterfly on her? Are you seriously gonna have her continue being that? I have no problem with Nikki ASH being a heel. No problem with that. You know, I wish we would get the Nikki that we got in NXT, the Sanity Nikki, right? You know, but this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. You know, clearly, of course, Nikki's frustration is, you know, people don't believe in her, you know, stuff like that. So I don't have any problem with Nikki being a heel. It's just the way they did this heel turn was ridiculous. Like, legit middle school shit. Rhea Ripley sitting there kissing Nikki ASH on the head, like, come here, little puppy, come here, man. I still love you, like, mwah, still love you, we're still friends, mwah, you know. And there's still some other things going through my head that I could say, but I'm not gonna say them out loud, you know, because I don't want to become that controversial guy who ends up, you know, getting called out by people. So I'm gonna keep what's going through my head to myself. But this is ridiculous here. This segment was done so bad. I don't have any problem with Nikki turning heel. No problem with that. You know, but this segment was done so poorly. You know, I'm just like, what am I watching? Am I watching PBS Kids, where I'm supposed to learn about friendships and all that, and treat and being kind to one another? Or am I watching professional wrestling? What the fuck am I watching? That's my problem. That's my problem. You know, but look, the segment, you know, it's whatever. I guess it did its job. But the thing about it is, you know, if Nikki's gonna be heel, she can't be coming out with that ridiculous theme music. She can't be coming out with that ridiculous attire. Nikki's gonna need a whole new makeover. You know, something more dark, something like that. I don't know if you turn like the suit, like, you know, when Superman turns bad in the comics, right? He changes, he comes up with the darker uniform and everything like that. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do with Nikki, but if you're gonna have Nikki be heel, you cannot have her being presented like this. You can't. That makes no sense. And as you know, it's more dumb than anything. All right. So hopefully, WWE has a plan for this. You know, I'm kind of glad Rhea's gonna be on her own again. This opens up, if they want to do a Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch feud, they can easily do that now, because now Rhea Ripley won't be focused on the tag title, so be a single star again. You know, so that can actually be a plus for the Raw Women's division. A Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch feud, you know, would be great. Honestly, I don't know. Like I said, going to WrestleMania now, because like I'm a guy that looks forward. You know, you gotta think, I have no idea what they're gonna do with the Raw Women's Championship. I really think it could end up being like a fatal 4-way or a fatal 5-way. You know, you can do Liv, you can do Bianca, you can do Rhea Ripley. You know, who knows if Asuka comes back and she's put in the mix? Who knows about Bayley? There's so many different directions that the Raw Women's Championship can go. So I'm happy that Rhea's gonna be a single star again, right? You know, and hopefully, right, Rhea can at least somewhat get back to that badass NXT version. I'm tired of this kid-friendly Rhea Ripley. I want the baddest Rhea Ripley that I loved in NXT. She's too good to be used like this, sitting there kissing Nikki ASH on the head like a little puppy. Like, what the fuck am I watching? What the hell am I watching here? you know? So we'll see where this feud goes. Clearly, these two are going to be feuding going forward. It's probably going to be a story going into the Rumble match itself, right? But we'll see. You know, this is going to be more about how Nikki's presenting Rhea, because I think Rhea will be fine on her own. I just hope we get the more badass version of Rhea Ripley going forward. But, you know, it will be interesting to see how this feud is built going forward, right? But, you know, I'm just hoping that Nikki gets presented better. You know, like if she comes out with that superhero gimmick next week with the same colors and everything, it's gonna leave a poor taste in people's mouth, because this segment was not produced at all. Like, this was done very, very poorly. The heel turn could have been done a lot better. And the last thing I'll note is WWE breaks up another tag team. Even though Rhea Ripley and Nikki weren't your normal typical tag team, of course, they really didn't blend that well together. When you look at everything that they brought to the table, it's still another tag team WWE's breaking up. We talk about it all the time. WWE breaks up a tag team at least once a month, it seems, right? You just broke up AJ and Almas last month. Now this one's tag team is now Nikki and Rhea, you know? And like I said, now there's no teams in the women's tag team division. There's legitimately no tag teams in the women's tag division. If someone can name me in the chat how many teams there are, there's nobody. You've breaking everybody up. Tegan Knox is no longer with the company, right? So Shotzi Blackheart is no longer has a tag partner. You just broke up Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH. I can't think of any other tag teams. And this is kind of dumb, because you look at the women's tag team division on NXT, right? You have those tag team titles that are not really a factor. If at least if you could have Zelina and Carmel go down to NXT, at least that could have been something. But you don't have any more tag teams. Like Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, they got broken up. Nia's no longer with the company. You don't have any tag teams for Zelina and Carmel to defend against at the moment. Which is, this shows how wasted those women's tag team titles have been since you took them off Sasha and Bayley. Those women's tag team titles have been absolutely pointless. And it's sad. It's sad that everything that Sasha and Bayley put into those women's tag team titles, and now they don't mean anything. There's legitimately one tag team in the women's tag team division. Only one. And that's just funny to me. There is no teams left in the women's tag team division. And I know what's going to happen, right? I said this already. The Bella Twins are coming back at the Rumble. It's going to probably end up being the Bella Twins versus Nikki ASH and Carmella for the women's tag titles at WrestleMania. That's probably what's going to happen. I wouldn't even be surprised if Beth Phoenix and Natalya get back together. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But it's just sad, and it's it's embarrassment that you have no teams. Insane that you have no teams now in that women's tag team division, and only WWE has themselves to blame, because you've broken all those tag teams up. You've released all the superstars. That's what happens when you don't care about your women's roster. That's what happens, and WWE only has themselves to blame about that. So Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley break up, right? Nikki turns heel. Which is kind of funny, because you would think that Rhea would be the one to turn heel. But Nikki turns heel on Rhea Ripley, so we'll see how that feud starts. And the women's tag team division is officially, absolutely buried to the ground.
Same thing over and over and expecting.
Almost superheroes don't need any friends.
So moving on, we had I'm not gonna play the clip for this. We had the cutting edge, right? I still hate that edge is being used like this. I think it's crappy to me. But we had the cutting edge with Beth Phoenix as the special guest. Like I said, I don't want to play a clip for this. Yeah, the clip's 5 minutes. I don't feel like playing another 5-minute promo for you guys. But so we had the cutting edge with Edge and Beth Phoenix. Basically, this was more just to remind the WWE Universe of how dominant Beth Phoenix was, because she was dominant in her prime. She was, probably easily the best But like I said, so like Beth Phoenix was super dominant in her prime. Like in her era, she had what was it? Natalia, of course, the Bella Twins, Eve Torres, who Eve Torres was actually very underrated in the ring. I would love to see Eve Torres return. She was actually my favorite female superstar back then when they were called divas. I loved Eve Torres. I love AJ Lee. Those two were my favorites. You had Kelly Kelly. Maurice was a wrestler back then. I believe Beth Phoenix. Let me search this up right now. Like, I'm willing to bet Beth Phoenix and Maurice probably had matches back then when Maurice was Divas champion as well. You know, Maurice could actually wrestle in the past. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, so if you search them on WWE, there's actually videos of Beth Phoenix and Maurice having matches in the past. So, it's not like these two are strangers to the ring to one another. I'm kind of surprised. If I'm WWE, I would bring that up. I'll bring that up. They played video packages in this segment of Maurice and Beth Phoenix and what they did during their careers. But say for a casual, or for say to someone that didn't watch WWE back in 2009, 2010, 2011, right when these two were in their primes, I would remind people that these two have faced. I don't know if they've ever faced for the Divas champion or anything like that. They both held that title during that time, but these two have faced off in the ring. They're not strangers to one another. They're not. They wrestled during the same time. And Maurice wasn't even a terrible wrestler. And Beth Phoenix was actually probably the best wrestler in the women's division during that era. But I would bring that up. Add another element. Add another element to the feud. Try to make this somewhat, some story here. Remind people that these two have history with one another. They're not strangers. So, they played clips basically reminding everybody of, what they've done in their careers. Like, Miz and Maurice probably will both be in the Hall of Fame one day. Then you had Edge. Edge was kind of funny here. Edge was when Miz does it, it's weird, but Edge was kind of be funny here. Edge was it's like he was like sucking up to Beth Phoenix. Beth said something kind of funny, like, I don't know if you're trying to flatter me up for later on tonight, because basically Beth was like, hey, you're trying to get it on later, but it was kind of funny. It wasn't as cringe as when the Miz does it, but the Miz came out. Miz did his normal stuff, right? Miz tried to, talk about how, Edge's victory over him at the Rumble or at day one was a fluke and would have never happened if Beth hadn't got involved, right? But then Beth brought up how Maurice got involved, and that's why she came out. So if anything, Miz should be blaming Maurice, right? But Miz tried to talk Maurice up, but Maurice was very shy. Maurice hasn't said anything the last couple of weeks. Ever since the match was announced, Maurice hasn't said a word. And then basically Miz was talking his wife up, and then Miz was like, tell her, babe, what you're gonna do to her at the Royal Rumble. But before he could finish his sentence, Maurice left, and Miz didn't even notice that. So the story is like Maurice is terrified of Beth, even though I don't like that. Even I know, yes, of course, Maurice doesn't wrestle anymore, but Beth's also retired. We don't know how Beth's gonna look at the Rumble, right? But it's not like Maurice doesn't know how to wrestle. Plus, these two have history with one another. They faced off countless times. So, it's kind of dumb that they're having Maurice act shy here, like she can't wrestle anymore, like she's terrified of Beth Phoenix. Maurice has beaten Beth in the past, so I don't know, but. I did find it funny how Maurice did left here, but I do think they should add that element on top of this feud. Add that element of the, Miz, or add that element of, Maurice and Beth's past history, right? Like I said, I'm not that excited for this match. I'm just happy it's not going to WrestleMania. Like, I don't know what Edge is going to do going into WrestleMania. I don't. Like I said, I'm going to keep bringing that up because, Edge is not going to be in the Rumble unless she's a surprise entrant. But, still, I don't know. I don't know what you do with Edge on the Mania. I don't really care for this match, but I would at least, if we're being forced to to watch these segments on TV each week, try to tell a story. Try to tell some type of story, because I still have no idea. After nearly a month and a half of these two going at it, I have no idea what they're feuding over. Still no clue. So, like I said, try to make a story. You still have 2 weeks. You still have 2 weeks left. But it's, it's kind of sad that I still have no idea why Edge and Miz are feuding a month and a half into this feud, right? But like I said, try to make a story here in the next 2 weeks. Try, at least attempt to try to make me care. Next up, we had AJ Styles versus Austin Theory, right? Which is on paper actually a really good match. You got a future Hall of Famer versus, the future of WWE, right? And we know the whole thing of Austin Theory. He's under Vince McMahon as being his mentor, which I'm kind of enjoying that storyline a little bit. I like their interactions. As much as I can't stand Vince as in his creative directions, I at least enjoy him as a TV character. So I do enjoy Vince, tutoring and being a mentor to Austin Theory. Theory before the match had a quick interview, and Theory talked about how Vince told him not to screw this up, and how he was going to take out AJ tonight the same way that Almas did last week, right? So this was, good match. It wasn't enough because they didn't get enough time, right? Because there was a commercial break. But like I said, if they gave this match more time, it would have been better. But clearly, this was more to promote NXT than promote the match with Theory and Styles. So, like I said, this was good. Of course, Styles is one of the best wrestlers in the world still at his age. But the big thing happened near the end. So, Styles was building on momentum. He hit a neck breaker for a near fall. Theory was able to recover and hit his own modified neck breaker for another 2 count. But then Grayson Waller showed up out of nowhere to attack Styles, and that's called a DQ. So then Theory wasn't really that mad because, remember, Theory, technically loses the match because of the DQ by Waller. But Theory took a selfie with Styles on the floor before leaving, and then Waller went to attack Styles again, but Styles was able to recover, and he was able to send Waller running. Waller then got interviewed backstage, and he sent that was just a preview for what would happen on NXT tonight. And the thing about it is, I'm actually recording this on a Tuesday night. I didn't watch NXT because I'm recording this, so I'm gonna actually take a quick look to see what happened between Styles and Waller. Give me 1 sec. So just checked out. So Styles and Waller actually had a good match. Like, I'm not surprised it's AJ Styles we're talking about here. So, and then Styles did say after he was interviewed, he said he could see himself after his career's done, being down at the Performance Center working with the young talent. So, I don't know if there will be an NXT at that point, if I'm being serious, because the way Bruce Prichard and Vince and Nick Khan have run WWE, right? NXT is nowhere near. The Triple H era of NXT is dead. It's dead and gone. We've talked about that last week. So I don't know how long this era of NXT will survive. I'm being 100% serious about that. I'm not optimistic for the future of NXT, but like I said, maybe one day Triple H will take it back over and bring it back to its glory days. But still, so Styles does beat Waller in a good match. That was that. Clearly this was kind of, and a reason why they're doing is they're trying to, of course, build interest with NXT, right? They're trying to, have these NXT superstars appear on Raw. They're trying to, hopefully bring some viewership to NXT. But the thing about it is, Raw's viewership is not good these days because the shows aren't good. So if your shows on Monday Night Raw, your main roster shows aren't good, no one's going to spend a dime or spend a care watching NXT. I'm willing to bet that the amount of people that watch Raw, that actually watch NXT, the percentage is probably really, really low. Unless you're a big wrestling guy like I am, I don't think the normal casual, unless there's nothing else to watch on the Tuesday night, the normal casual isn't tuning in to NXT. That's just my thoughts on it. I could be wrong, but still, but so Styles beats Waller on NXT tonight. We'll see if that brings anything up with the ratings. We'll talk about that maybe later this week, maybe on the AEW review. We'll see how things turn up. But so yeah, that's what happens here. So Styles and Waller, they finished their feud. Styles' feud with Almas is over as well. And maybe next week we get a rematch with Austin Theory and Styles, right? Hopefully they get a longer match, because I would like to see these two go a little bit longer in the ring. And Styles did announce that he is going to be in the Rumble. It is crazy to think about. Styles made his debut in 2016. That was back at what, WrestleMania 31, I believe. At WrestleMania 31. No, I'm wrong. WrestleMania 32. My bad. It was WrestleMania 32. Yes, he faced Chris Jericho at Texas, which is ironic because now 6 years later they're back in Texas. Right? But Styles made his debut, his WrestleMania debut, against Jericho at WrestleMania 32, and then he made that famous debut at the Rumble that same year. It's crazy to think it's already been 6 years. 6 years since Styles first made his debut in WWE. I don't even know if I was doing this podcast 6 years ago. I may have been doing it. I don't know. I think it was 2018. That's when I really started going hard on this podcast. Back when I had my co-host Moose. But it's crazy to think it's already been over half a decade. Time goes by so fast, man. It's already been half a decade since Styles made his debut in WWE. 6 years. I would not be mad if Styles won the Royal Rumble. I'm being honest with you guys right now. I would not be mad if Styles won the Royal Rumble. I don't think it's happening, but we will have to see how things go in terms of that. But I would not be mad at all. They'll probably do something with Almas and Styles, right? How they were tag team. Maybe Styles gets some payback by eliminating Almas from the Rumble, right? Because Styles was the babyface. The fact that they did one squash match and that was it, it's kind of sad. But maybe Styles gets some payback at Almas at the Rumble, in the Rumble match. But we'll see. But like I said, I'll say it right now. I would not be mad if Styles won the Royal Rumble. It probably won't happen, but, anything can happen. The Royal Rumble winner could be anybody at this point. Yeah. So next up, we had Alexa Bliss, right? Alexa Bliss is back.
Stevie, you want to say hi?
Come on, kid. You only tourist.
But yeah, Alexa Bliss is back. We talked about this last week on the show. So Alexa Bliss, so basically the explanation for her absence, we know that Alexa Bliss took personal time off, but now that she's coming back to Raw, the explanation they're giving is that she was undergoing therapy, right? The whole situation with Charlotte and Lily, that she was undergoing therapy. But I'll play this clip. This will probably be our last clip of the night before we talk about the main event and get out of here.
Well, Miss Bliss, welcome to my office. I'm Dr. Sclavell. Now, begin our treatment. I'd like you to breathe deep.
I'll just say this. They should have got Dr. Shelby. It would have been cool to see Dr. Shelby back. Dr. Shelby was that guy was a unique character. I wish they got Shelby for this segment with Alexa Bliss, but anyway, it is whatever.
You're going to be okay. Now, the first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem in the first place.
You're right, Doc. I have a problem. Fix me.
Well, there's no doubt that you've been through a lot of trauma lately, but now it's time to heal. I'm going to show you something, and then I'm going to measure your reaction to it. There's no doubt that you've rehabilitated yourself to a certain extent over the past several weeks. But before we begin your treatment, I need to know exactly where you are right now.
After Lily again.
So they show a clip of Charlotte destroying Lily back from early fall. And you see Alexa's emotions changing.
So tell me, Alexa, how does that make you feel?
Thirsty.
Okay. Okay. Alexa.
How does that make you feel, Doc?
Not great.
It's a shame. Because, you know, I feel pretty dandy.
Alexa.
So, did you say that the first step is admitting you have a problem? Well, I guess I have a problem. Why don't you write about it?
Breathe deep.
Breathe in.
Yes. Yes,
Breathe
in.
out.
Yes. Wait, Alexa, feelings are okay, but there is a line. Wait.
This actually smelled pretty nice.
No. No, 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 no.
See you next week, Doc.
So yeah, so Alexa they didn't mention Lily, but they showed the clip. So I don't know what the plan is, if Lily's gonna make a return or whatever. I know some people are still unhappy that Alexa's using the Fiend's gimmick, right? Look, the Fiend's been gone now for like what? 7 months, 6, 7 months already. If they're clearly not taking that gimmick away from her, so it's just something people are gonna have to get over at some point. I think it will be interesting to note is, right, remember, Alexa, a lot of people wanted Alexa to beat Charlotte for the Raw Women's Championship. I wanted Alexa to beat Charlotte at Clash of Champions for the Raw Women's Championship. It's going to be interesting to see because now going to WrestleMania, and that's why I'm thinking the Raw Women's Championship scene going to WrestleMania, it's going to be something else. You know, with Becky, you know, I think Liv's going to be involved. Bianca is going to be involved. You know, Rhea Ripley. Alexa is going to be in the mix there. You know, there's some people that might want to see Alexa be the one to take the title off of Becky. You never know. But still, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do. You know, what they do. Because Alexa's going to come back. She's going to be a babyface still, right? And you kind of need a babyface because all you have really right now is Bianca and Liv. Yeah, and you have Rhea Ripley, I guess. So, look, the Raw Women's division has potential. It does. You know, you bring back Alexa, who's not bad in the ring. Even people don't like her character. She's not terrible in the ring. You know, she's actually somewhat decent. You bring Rhea Ripley, right? Of course, you start building her back up. Then you have you have some heels. You know, if you add maybe one more name, maybe an Asuka or a Bayley, that's a pretty solid women's division. So the Raw Women's division has potential. So does the SmackDown Women's division. Right now, the SmackDown Women's division is easily weaker than the Raw Women's division, right? I think the SmackDown Women's division needs more help at the moment because without Sasha, right, all you have is Naomi and Charlotte. Shotzi Blackheart's not being used, right? You have Natalya and Shayna Baszler there, and I guess Zia Lee, but I think the SmackDown Women's division needs a little bit more help. But we'll see. Like I said, the Raw Women's division has potential to be a decent division. You have the talent there. It's now just booking them that actually means something. So I expect Alexa to be back in the Rumble, right? She is back on TV. I don't know how long the plan is to do these therapy segments, but I would not be surprised if they do them again for like the next 2 weeks. And then Alexa makes her official in-ring return at the Rumble. They need names. So I expect Alexa to be in the Rumble. Do I think Alexa could win it? Maybe. You never know. You know, WWE, Vince has always been high on Alexa, so you never know, you know. So we'll see, but Alexa Bliss is back, and she's definitely going to be in the Raw Women's Championship title picture. She's going to be there from the start. We'll see what WWE's plans are for that, right? So they do have more challenges now for Becky, right? You have Doudrop, you have Rhea Ripley, you have, you have Alexa Bliss. You know, if they want, Ronda Rousey ever comes back, you can always do Ronda. You can have Asuka and Bailey, right? Depending when those two come back. So there are more challenges now for Becky, even though I do want to see Becky lose that title as soon as possible. But like I said, the Raw Women's division, there's hope for it. There's hope. So we'll see how that goes going forward. And speaking of Becky Lynch, our main event was a triple threat match determining who was going to be Becky's challenger at the Royal Rumble for the Raw Women's Championship. You had Bianca, you had Liv, and you had Doudrop, right? So Becky came out. Before the match, she looked absolutely ridiculous. Becky looks more ridiculous by the week. She wears that stupid goat jacket. Her hair was looking ridiculous. And I talked about it last week. WWE is trying to get Becky Lynch away from the big time Becks, or from the man, right? Becky could still use that title, but they want Becky more focused on the big time Becks. They're promoting that as Becky's main thing. It's kind of like how Seth Rollins, you can call him the Architect, you can call him the Beast Slayer, you can call him the King Slayer, right? You call it Monday Night Rollins. Rollins has a bunch of nicknames, but now he goes by like the Visionary, and stuff like that. So like I said, I think big time Becks is cringe, right? It's the man was cringier, but still, I hate Becky Lynch's nicknames. Ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, Becky comes out looking ridiculous with that stupid goat jacket. She was on commentary, which is always, always, always horrific. Becky Lynch, whenever they put her on commentary, it just takes away from the match itself because she's just so annoying to listen to. She doesn't really know how to add value to a commentary team, right? She does more just talking about herself, and I was saying the same stuff, how she's already beat Liv and Bianca. It's just like shut up, but the match here, Doudrop, Liv, and Bianca, they killed it here. This was a really good triple threat match. I wish it got a little bit more time, right? You guys know how big I am on women's wrestling. But the match wasn't bad. The match wasn't bad, and the ending, it wasn't really surprising. It just doesn't make sense from a creative standpoint. So what happened? So basically, near the end here, right? I'll skip to the end. This was like I said, this was a very fast-paced match. Everybody here got their offense. Big thing is, Bianca hit Liv with a beautiful KOD, but Lynch ran in and attacked her. And Bianca, right, being the stupid babyface, instead of taking Becky out and going right after Liv, she focused right on Becky. And, Becky was able to get the upper hand on Bianca. And then that allowed Doudrop to come in, and Doudrop hit the splash, the Vader, or it looks like the Vader bomb, but she hit that splash she does from the middle rope in the corner, and she pinned Liv to get the win and become the number one contender, right? But I'm not surprised of, because like I said, you've already done Bianca and Liv, right? It's going to be obvious if you do the match again at the Rumble, right? Bianca or Liv, it doesn't matter. Neither one is going to win. So I guess Doudrop makes sense. The thing is, though, Doudrop, you had her lose to Bianca Belair 3 weeks in a row, and now she's the number one contender. It's wins and losses don't matter on this show. It's the 50-50 booking, right? If you had built up Doudrop correctly, right? If you had Doudrop beat Bianca, right, a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't really be sitting here complaining. I would actually be saying, okay, Doudrop versus Becky makes more sense. But you've had Doudrop lose to Bianca 3 weeks in a row. She bitches and moans as she gets put into this triple threat match, and then she wins it. It's just like the 50-50 booking. Why am I supposed to care? Why am I supposed to care? That's the type of stuff that really annoys me when it comes to WWE. And the also thing here is Becky and Doudrop are both heels. Doudrop, you had Doudrop turn heel just for the feud with Bianca. If Doudrop was still a babyface, that's another thing. So the two things I have a problem with is Doudrop is a heel, right? And Becky Lynch is a heel. So it's heel versus heel. It's the same problem with Seth and Roman. And the other thing is, you've made Doudrop kind of look like a loser in the past week. And now you want me to believe that Doudrop has a chance against Becky, who Becky never gets pinned? It's not believable that Doudrop has a chance. I know after the match, they had Becky come in and Becky offered, to shake Doudrop's hand, but she tried to, do a sneak attack manhandle slam. But of course, Doudrop's weighs too much for that, right? Doudrop's heavy, so Becky was able to pick Doudrop up, and then Doudrop just stared Becky down, and that's how the show ended, right? I would say this: Liv Morgan was the standout of this match. Bianca did her normal stuff. We know how good Bianca is, but Liv continues to impress. I'm going to continue saying this. If Sasha Banks is not able to make it for the Royal Rumble, which like I said, is looking unlikely right now, I would have Liv Morgan win it. That would be my backup in case Sasha doesn't come in as a surprise entrant at the end. But I would have Liv Morgan win it. We'll see what happens. But like I said, Liv's getting better and better each and every week. And I think that no matter if you end up doing a fatal 5-way, fatal 4-way, fatal 3-way, right? No matter what ends up happening, I would have Liv beat Becky at WrestleMania to win the championship. She is over. She's getting better and better every week. I want to see Liv win at WrestleMania. I think I'm going to keep talking about that for weeks and weeks to come. Yeah, then like I said, the two strong matches tonight, Rollins and Big E, and this triple threat match were probably the two strong points when it comes to in-ring action, and the opening segment, of course, with Lashley and Lesnar. But I don't know if you're gonna turn Doudrop back into a babyface, right? It would be kind of insulting our intelligence because you just turned her heel, right? Unless you want us to believe that Doudrop's a tweener, but we'll see what happens. Because I'm not. Becky's clearly a full-fledged heel, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, so now we have another heel versus heel. So we have two heel versus heel predicaments right now going to the Rumble. First Reigns and Rollins, and now Becky and Doudrop. It's kind of ironic because Becky and Seth are both married, and of course, but either way, I don't know. We'll see if Doudrop, because we'll see if Doudrop's turned back to a babyface for this feud. They don't really need her as a face because you already have three strong baby faces in Rhea. You have Rhea, Liv, and Bianca. Plus, you have, you also have Alexa, who's a babyface. Maybe they do something. Maybe this leads to Bianca turning heel, right? Bianca gets frustrated at not being able to get to the Raw Women's Championship, right? I would not be mad if, I guess, you want to turn Doudrop back into a face and you turn Bianca into a heel. I would not be mad. Maybe you have Bianca attack Liv or something like that, and Bianca is now heel. But now that I'm thinking of it, I think I know what they're gonna do with Bianca and Liv. I think something that's gonna happen is Carmella and Zelina Vega have no challenges right now, right? Bianca and Liv are not going to be in the Raw Women's title scene because it's Doudrop and Becky right now. I would not be surprised. Next week, Bianca and Liv challenge Zelina and Carmella for the tag titles, right? Zelina and Carmella are heels. Yeah, I would not be surprised if they ended up doing Bianca and Liv teaming up and becoming, going after the women's tag titles. That just entered my mind. And I'm just like, that would be so WWE. So it'd be so WWE. I would not be surprised if they ended up doing Bianca and Liv going after the women's tag titles. And if they do, you heard it here first in this podcast. I don't think anybody else in the IWC is going to mention that. But we'll see what happens. But like I said, it just entered my mind, and knowing WWE, I would not be surprised at all if that ended up being the case. Bianca and Liv go after the women's tag titles. We'll watch that happen next week on Monday Night Raw. But anyway, guys, that's about it. I didn't think this review would be that long, but there you have it. I went almost 2 hours again. You guys know me, I can talk up a storm. But there you have it. Like I said, Raw wasn't awful. you know, even though it was a disappointing crowd in Philly, but that was just more because the show was disappointing. The strong points, the main event, triple threat, the ladies killed it. Biggie and Seth Rollins, they killed it. And of course, the opening segment with Lashley and Lesnar. Those are probably the three strong points of the show. And of course, you have new Raw Tag Team Champions. So there was, this was a newsworthy show. Just as everything else in the in between was kind of just not it, But we're continuing to our build towards the Royal Rumble. We have 2.5 weeks left to go, so we'll see how things pick back up now that we're seeing the Royal Rumble card kind of flesh out and we're seeing, the big matches take shape. So we'll keep tabs on that. Like I said, I'll also keep you guys updated with everything going on with Sasha Banks and Drew McIntyre because, like I said, lots of injuries, lots of things happening right now. So definitely make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. You guys have notifications enabled because I'll keep you guys updated with all of that good stuff. Other than that, guys, that's about it. Thank you guys for once again joining me on another episode of the podcast. We've been going strong here to start the year, and we're going to keep it going. I hope you guys will join me for the AEW Dynamite review. I'm playing tomorrow night. That is still a go for right now. So right now, so I'm planning to do AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night, and we'll see what happens with that. If you guys haven't checked out the SmackDown review, that is live on the channel. We talk about the Sasha Banks injury and, Lesnar and Roman and everything happening with the Universal title scene. So check that out if you haven't already. I have tons of other content on the channel from anime to wrestling. So there's something here for everybody. So thank you guys as always for the love and support. Other than that, guys, that's about all I got for you guys today. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys as always. Click the bell next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Follow me down on social media. The links are in the description down below. I'll see you guys later. Stay safe and healthy, y'all. Peace.